Immediately, Wolf's ice arrow mech freed itself from captivity. It could not retaliate at the first instant and could only move horizontally but Hong, almost instantly, the upper body of Wolf's ice arrow mech was blasted into powder. What the FK, this is so f-king strange, he obviously evaded. What happened just now? It seems like the laser was curved. Jin Yur's B-Stinger Type M had already appeared beside the Slayer. This kill was a little too easy. His control ability was average. Spiritual explosion could only form a very short suppression and trance. But the important part was the power of assassination. The Slayer did not have the opportunity to retaliate and exploded. As for the Hercules guard, he had already grabbed both heavy mecha, one in each hand, hong 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 hong. Everyone stared at the Saint brothers with their jaws dropped. They were being flung here and there. How much strength was needed here? The two heavy mecha were flung to death like this. Instantly, the brothers were killed effortlessly. Because of his individual ability, Hakatelan was not afraid of anyone. Even if Jian Zihao was any stronger, he could not possibly do anything to Hakatelan in such a short time. Except, in a blink of an eye, all his team members had died. This battle was already doomed. Blocking Jian Zihao's crazy attacks, the Void Shadow God suddenly disappeared. There was a loud Hong sound and Lu Dai's heavy sniper came again. The amazing curved heavy sniper. Jian Zihao indeed evaded but was still hit in one shot. At this moment, both Void Shadow Gods arrived right next to him at the same time. Their beam sabers slashed down. Almost everyone could see the desperation emanating from Jian Zihao's berserker mech. There was a type of battle where one could not do anything. There was not even a chance for one to show anything. It was just a judgment error and they lost all. This time, it was everyone else's turn to shut up. Ka Dao was also very awkward. Latu smiled. Ka Dao, as a student from the Battle Tactics Department, you have to remember that doubting something is correct but you cannot make the mistake of assuming that things are set in stone. Lu Dai and Anil had displayed terrifying strength. Not only that, this battle was a show of extreme suppression. Anil's performance was really too amazing. Other than the Aslanians who knew, the others were all tricked by her. Her signature ability X Total Control made this originally troublesome battle instantly become simple. This was a total suppression. Excellent individual abilities and a matured battle tactic system. This was the Aslan Empire. Wei Yan on the other hand smiled and applauded to give her warriors enough praise. To want to become a royal bodyguard, the first condition was to have ability. Anil and Lu Dai were no doubt the cream of the crop. Except that people usually noticed their looks, gender or other things. The Imperial Glory battle team had a total victory in this battle. All along, the greatness of Aslan's strength was ultimately due to their own people. Looking at the confident and smiling Lin Wei Yan, Wang Jun could not control his thoughts and thought of Aina. What was she doing? At this moment, the Milky Way Military College was in a mess. Something big had happened. Like the Elite Academy X, the Milky Way Military College also had a lot of real battle arrangements. As one of the students, and as a student with excellent performance, the Aslan princess had to take part too. She even had to be at the front line to set an example. When Aina was at school, she set her expectations like an ordinary student. Under the usual circumstances, this type of real battles were under control. There was a level of danger but the problem would not be too big. But sometimes, even if the chance of happening was low, it would still happen. The Milky Way Military College met with an accident in their task to annihilate the pirates of Palalila. They were ambushed by the pirates. While they ultimately destroyed the pirates but the battleship where Aina was on was severely damaged and as the assistant ship captain, Aina was injured. That battle, the Milky Way Military College lost 3 personnel, had 16 severely injured and 59 lightly injured. 8 battleships were damaged but not destroyed. If that was it, then it would be nothing. It was just that Aina was among the injured. Then things became serious. When the Aslan princess was a student, she could be treated as a student, but that was under the situation where nothing happened. Once something happened, a princess was still a princess. She was after all not an ordinary person. Aina's position was at the frontmost area of the battleship's commander cabin. While there was the protection of the energy shield, but it still withstood a frontal attack. The whole matter was now strictly confidential stage. Even Wien also did not know. If there was any problems with Aina, then it was an unpredictable big matter to Aslan. In the ward, Aina laid quietly on the white hospital bed. Surrounding her was busy medical staff. All of them had serious expressions on their faces. Everyone was not worried for Aina's life. As long as she was not dead, then based on the current technology, she could definitely be saved. Except, it was not enough just to be alive. She was the princess of Aslan. She needed to recover to the point where she was perfectly well. Aina's expression was very peaceful. All along she was busy with her studies and training. With continuous studying and training, her whole person was very tense. It seemed as though she had relaxed all of a sudden. She could finally rest. Of course, when the laser directed itself at the battleship and blasted over, Aina did not know why, but there was actually not one bit of fear in her heart. The more she suppressed it, the more courageous she had felt. After the 2 rounds of battles, the victory list changed again. The 3 teams that achieved total victory were the Asura Battle Team, the Dynasty Battle Team and the Saruman Snake Battle Team. Of which, the Saruman Snake Battle Team was particularly attention-attracting. Prior to the battles, their abilities were tested and judged as the 8th team. They actually took down the battle record of 2 total victories. Was this a dark horse, or just luck? Star Leah Battle Team and Dark Wolves Battle Team's battle record of 1 defeat and 1 draw also received much attention. The video of that battle, which ended in a draw between the 2 teams, also received a lot of attention from everywhere. Not only in the Elite Academy X, the tactical confrontation of the surprise attacks and counter-surprise attacks amazed everyone. Maybe a draw for this battle was the best result. On the other hand, the days of the Eagle Battle Team and Icefire Battle Team were a bit hard to go by. 2 total defeats caused the 2 originally confident teams to become depressed. Those enthusiastic audience discovered a problem. These 2 defeated teams had fought against the Saruman Snake Battle Team before. Soon rumors of the Saruman Snake Battle Team being poisonous started. Isn't that nonsense? Have you seen a Saruman snake without poison? Do you know who is the most poisonous in the Saruman snake? What, don't know? You only know who is the most handsome? Goodbye. I don't have his skylink. When picking up a girl, Zhang Shan had his nose in the air. It was a pity that the girls who approached him were mostly asking for Achilles' skylink number. As the most handsome guy in the Saruman Snake Battle Team, Achilles became famous in the Elite Academy X in a unique way. Achilles, our team still lacks a mascot. Why don't you be the mascot temporarily? Zhang Shan joked during their training. If not for me, your skylink would have exploded now. Achilles smiled and did not say anything. It was during their training when he could take special care in fighting Zhang Shan. Zhang Shan was flustered, but he enjoyed it too. When there were powerful players training with you with all their might, what else could you complain? This was also considered as a type of tacit understanding. And within the Milky Way Alliance, topics regarding the Elite Academy X became popular as the Greatest King competition progressed. In the solar system, it was natural to think that the Elite Academy X was prestigious. They were also very proud of the various performances of the solar system during the Greatest King competition. Saruman Snake's Wang Zheng, Achilles, Zhang Shan, Dynasty Battle Team's Lear, Luo Fei, Lai Xin. This greatly enhanced the self-confidence of the people from the solar system. The solar system officials also started promoting this area. The reason why there was no promotions previously was because they lacked a presentable representative to show the outside world. Even the matters of the Elite Academy, including Academy X, were handled discreetly. Too much promotion would hurt the pride of the solar system. Now it was different. Increasing morale needed a hero. At the Ares College, Wang Zheng and Zhang Shan were already revered as gods, especially Zhang Shan. He was an idol that the juniors at the Ares College were fighting to learn from. Transferring from the physics department to the mecha department, rushing in full speed all the way to the Elite Academy X. Oh my god, this was definitely a typical example of a loser turning the tides and becoming the king. When Chen Shu sent the news back to the Elite Academy X, Zhang Shan was speechless for a long time. Regarding the issue of him becoming famous, he had no opinions. This was an inevitable thing. However, what he could not understand was how did he become a loser? Come on, before your big brother transferred to the mecha department, he was a big shot in the highly familial physics department, okay? Shua, this was such a serious mistake. Why didn't you try to stop the rumors? How will I be Mr. Perfect when I go back? My goal is to have a large number of girls. Oh right, if there are any girls at the college who want to have children with me. If there are any at all, please tell me and I will get their Skylink. Chen Shu hung up the Skylink firmly. Zhang Shan was the type who would take a yard when given an inch. If he continued listening, he would soon become like a pimp. Zhang Shan was even more hardworking now during training. For the large forest of girls back at home, Big Brother wanted to become an actual Mr. Perfect. At the Zeus College in Europe, Lear was also revered as a god. Lear was Solar System's undefeatable genius. Wang Zheng and Achilles were just props to show off his brilliance. As for Lai Xin, there was no need to mention her. She had already been conquered. As for people like Zhang Shan, he was just a clown, several levels lower than Luo Fei. At the beginning, both colleges were giving different remarks. But, as the discussions about the Elite Academy X in the solar system increased, the remarks between the two colleges gradually began to clash. The side at the Ares College were angered. How dare they tarnish Brother Zheng's reputation? The call for retaliation was immediately sounded. F***CK, in front of Brother Zheng, when was Lear ever brilliant? Ultimately, Lear was just an insidious villain. There was an old saying, a villain's victory would not be long-lasting. Don't look at Lear being all happy now. If he came across our big brother Zheng, he would still be eliminated. The quarrels became fiercer. Was the Saruman Snake Battle Team or the Dynasty Battle Team stronger? This question became the focus of the quarrels. When the high-level authorities of both colleges reacted, they realized that the honor of the two colleges had been tied to the show-off between the Saruman Snake Battle Team and the Dynasty Battle Team. When Wang Zheng received Xiao Fei's Skylink, he thought that she was going to congratulate him on the 2 consecutive victories. In the end, he heard Xiao Fei speaking in a very fierce tone that he never heard before. Wang Zheng, when you go up against the Dynasty Battle Team, don't hold back, beat them up ruthlessly. Wang Zheng did not know whether to cry or laugh. After teacher Xiao Fei had become the principal, she liked battles even more than before. In strong countries like Arbiter and Aslan, the existence of Elite Academy X had also attracted much attention. Its evaluation amongst the powerful people were especially high, which attracted a lot of interest from geniuses. Last time they knew about the Elite Academy X, or even received a notice from the Elite Academy X, but they ignored it. They did not think that the Elite Academy X would be better than their local higher education institutions. When their levels were about the same, why would they choose an international one? However, the feeling was different now. It was already very attractive being a high-intensity, high-level competition with the chance to fight with powerful people from various large strong countries. Moreover, through the live broadcast to various major high schools, the Elite Academy X had gained great influence. Some elite colleges from strong countries had also begun to form battle teams. They even carried out battle rehearsals and analyzed the strengths and weaknesses of both their own battle teams and the Elite Academy X's battle teams. An increasing number of people voiced out their desire to undergo competitive exchanges with Elite Academy X. They did not think that those top elites in Elite Academy X were stronger than them. No, they were stronger. It was hard to distinguish who was better in studies, but it would be easy to determine who was stronger in battles. Refusal to admit defeat resulted in competition, and to compete, they must go to Roland Garros, to Elite Academy X. And this was exactly what the Elite Academy X hoped to see. After changing its strategy, their steps of recruitment were getting bigger and bigger. At the Federal Republic of Manalasuo's Royal College, Pure Blood Club. Showing on the club's big screen was Dendi with his head hung low. The glory of the Federal Republic of Manalaluo was represented by the confident and ambitious Eagle battle team. However, after 2 rounds had ended, the originally soaring eagle turned into a blind sparrow who could not find its place. Dendi, do not make this mistake again. Yes, General. Dendi had always been steady and mature, but now perspiration beads formed on his forehead. Pa, the screen was disconnected from the Skylink. Darkness filled the room and the Pure Blood Club fell silent. Elite Academy X had always existed as a topic of conversation. It was probably a good international academy and had good conditions, but there was nothing remarkable about it. However, with the current changes, the Elite Academy X had changed. Those 8 battle teams represented the glory of different countries. Victory brought honor and failure brought humiliation. There was even a hint of strength comparison among the countries. It seemed like an abduction of the countries to force them aboard. No matter what the elite academy intended to do, they accomplished it. This was also determined by the unique status of Inner Roland, which was something Arbiter and Aslan could never achieve. Since ancient times, it had been very important to have good reasons to back your actions. Within the Elite Academy X, the changes brought about by the Greatest King competition were also unprecedented. Not everyone was interested in these kinds of individual elite battles, and the end of these battles also meant an end. There were actually quite a number of these kinds of battles, no matter big or small. Annually, through these battles emerged the so-called strongest people, but they were not officially recognized. For example, Jian Zihao, Yang Pan and others had all been called the strongest in their own batch. This however had no value. But the Greatest King was different. This was officially recognized. Everyone was also discussing this. Among the students, the 3 most promising battle teams were still Asura, Imperial Glory and Dynasty, the 3 who were part of the so-called Godly Dynasty era. Although the Dynasty battle team lost 1 battle and the evaluation of the Dynasty battle team outside dropped, within the Elite Academy X, Saruman's Snake battle team could only be ranked 4th at the moment. After all, the Dynasty battle team met up with Asura and the 2 teams fought fiercely to the end. It could be said that their strength was on the same level. They were all youngsters and filled with fighting spirits. Many people were very concerned about this ranking. The team itself might be better, but their supporters wanted to make it clear. At the Elite Academy, these 8 battle teams had their own fans, whether the winner or loser. After all, for some students, they must support the team from their own country. Regarding things from the outside world, Wang Zheng had always been calm. Zhang Shan was happily immersed within it. He liked to show off and was not afraid of setbacks. Achilles actually felt nothing about this kind of things. From a rich and powerful family, he was the leader of the solar system in everyone's eyes since young. Even though the level of the Elite Academy was higher, the feeling was the same. Snow Li was very calm. It was just that she and Ai Xiaolu were still a little worried about the situation of the Ice-Fire battle team. Both battles were defeats. While they were not responsible for that, it was after all their own country. Ai Xiaolu appeared quite frequently at the Ice-Fire battle team this few days, discussing countermeasures with Jian Zihao. If they continued to lose, they would not be far from being eliminated. And because of this kind of live broadcast, the mainstream colleges in the Milky Way Alliance had formed a heated discussion. This was no longer a personal matter. It was rumored that Manalasuo, Astina and Hail Cloud Alliance were already discussing countermeasures. They just could not watch the team that represented their own country lose face all the way. Hence, they must take the initiative to make a response. In fact, Saruman Snake and Dynasty were better. They were multinational teams. It seemed like winning or losing did not have as large a political effect. However, both teams were winning and in the upper half. They had no such troubles. Yi Zisu's box project was implemented very smoothly. OMG, King and the Little Fortune Star Company all relied on this project to stand out. Finally, they had their own commercial killer. After coming up with Wind God and the Storm Swordsman, Yi Zisu, this talented designer, finally implemented another project that once again shocked the whole world. This time she had completely entered the level of the Milky Way Alliance. Perhaps the foundation of OMG was still not on the level of the Milky Way Alliance, but Yi Zisu's reputation had already reached that level. This was an intangible asset. Yan Xiaosu's days were even better. His relationship with Zhao Ellen had progressed very smoothly. After learning the identity of Yan Xiaoshu, it was really impossible for any obstacles to appear and hinder their relationship. That brother-in-law now followed the lead of Tyrant Su even more. Having such a brother-in-law, he would definitely be able to enjoy his life. And now that brother-in-law was also very impressed with his sister's good taste. If Zhao Ellen accepted Yan Xiaoshu only after knowing his situation, his admiration would be halved. But this brother tyrant was picked up halfway by his sister. Initially she thought he was alone, a blur, cute as well as a little pitiful person. It triggered her feeling of, if no one would go to hell, I should be the one. That was why she received 100% of Xiaosu's admiration. As for the people around Zhao Ellen, there was nothing to say. Moon citizens were a bit conceited. That was only towards normal Earthlings, and Yan Xiaosu's level was obviously out of the solar system. The news of Little Fortune Star appeared often on the economic channel on television. To this, Wang Zheng was also relieved. Finally, there was someone that could take care of this fatty. His brother was so happy. Wang Zheng lamented at how his own affairs seemed like a faraway goal. He and Aina now were really he did not know how to put it. They still longed for one another, but they could not even contact each other. To say that they had completely no more relation did not seem true. It was like there was still a bit of tacit understanding between them. Previously, Yi Zisu told him that at the most critical moment Yi Bingwen received a piece of top-secret personal information about Liang Yindao. The information was most likely from Aina because that level of information was impossible to get unless it was from someone powerful in Aslan. She had to bear considerable risks too. After all, she had also broken the rules. One must know that in the pursuit of such incidents, it was useless even if the Solar System Federation chairman gave his consent. The information was also the most deadly blow to the enemy, directly reversing the situation. Wang Zheng felt warmth in his heart. He missed Aina very much, but all this could only be turned into a bitter smile. The two were separated by endless mountains and rivers. Everything must be done step by step. Wang Zheng must adjust his emotions and focus on what he needed to do. However, one piece of news broke this calmness. Princess Aina of Aslan, as an exchange student of the Milky Way Galaxy Military College, would study at the Elite Academy for a period of time, mainly in small-scale group battles of exceptional mecha warriors. Undoubtedly, this meant the greatest king competition. The arrival of Aina was definitely a boost of confidence for the Imperial Glory battle team. This made Hawkadalin and others excited, like they were given a shot of energy. Their recent training was also filled with enthusiasm. Out of the two princesses, Lin Huiyan was more friendly and cute, but if talking about who possessed the image of a true princess, Aina was definitely the first in the Milky Way Alliance. In the Milky Way Alliance, there were still countries where monarchy as a system remained, yet no one was on par with Aina Aslan. After Aina entered the Milky Way Galaxy Military College, the popularity of the Milky Way Galaxy Military College was almost unbeatable. If it was not for the emergence of the greatest king competition, the Elite Academy would become like a passerby. You must know that from the perspective of attracting attention, the Elite Academy was obviously better. But this exchange was too sudden. Why? Wang Zheng's mind was also filled with question marks. What was the Aslan royal family doing? He did not think that Kashawan was anyone good or that she realized her mistake and was repenting. He also did not think that his performance recently would make the other party loosen up. But he really could not think of any reason, or was Kashawan very confident? To find out the truth behind this, Wang Zheng could only turn to Lin Huiyan. Huiyan, do you know what is going on? He dialed Lin Huiyan's Skylink. The little princess herself was also very surprised. I am finding out what happened, but my mother has not returned yet. Brother Wang Zheng, this is a good thing. Please don't be angry at my mother. Although I am very angry as well, there is no other way if you were in her position. Lin Huiyan's gentle pleading made Wang Zheng a little embarrassed. Actually, there was no need for him to be so petty, and this thing was definitely not Huiyan's fault. He did not get any further news from Huiyan, but Wang Zheng was not as optimistic as Huiyan. To become the Prime Minister of the Aslan Empire, she would definitely never be soft-hearted all of a sudden. At this moment, Wang Zheng was not worried about anything but Aina. Did something happen to Aina? At this time in Aslan, Kashawan had just ended the cabinet meeting. Several staff surrounded her and continued to discuss a few challenging issues. The issue regarding the OMG box was surprisingly included in her work agenda. This was indeed beyond Kashawan's expectations. Although it was not a big deal, this mecha auxiliary equipment did break Aslan's monopoly on mecha movement equipment. However, based on the current information, the box was still in its initial stages. The distance and starting speed of the mecha movement was not exceptional, but for some countries it was already very significant. And she knew the person who owned the patent of this technology, Yi Zisu. She had an impression of her. She had investigated Wang Zheng. To break him and Aina apart, it was impossible to do it by force. She must go around it, and the weakness was Yi Zisu and Yan Xiaoshu, so she accepted Yi Zisu's request for a negotiation and made full use of this to achieve her goal. Standing in her position, she had nothing to regret, but from the perception of this youngster, honestly, she was really brilliant. When she thought of this, she could not help but sigh. Ana's situation was really special. If not as a last resort, she would not make this decision to let Ana be near Wang Zheng. Ana had suffered from physical injuries, but the impact made her lose her memory. All her memories associated with Wang Zheng had disappeared. This was a good thing for Kashawan, but the attending doctor was very worried. This kind of selective amnesia meant that Princess Ana was under great mental pressure, and she was inherently relieving stress this way. In psychiatry, this was called POS, schizophrenic escapism. This was also the early stage of schizophrenia. For an Ability X user, this was undoubtedly more dangerous. Of course, the impact triggered this possibility. If it was an average person, this would not be a problem, but for the future queen of the Aslan Empire, this was a big deal. However, even with the current technology, the problems related to the nervous system were still unsolvable. The correct way to face amnesiac patients and some things was only through some conservative solutions. They could either awaken the missing memories or leave things as they were. No matter what, these were all choices. Simply put, the individual could either choose to remember or choose to forget forever. If there was a choice, Kashawan would not do this, but she really had no other way. She felt helpless too. Ana was actually so focused on this relationship. Although first loves were deep, this was a bit too much. Of course, Kashawan was also a bit disappointed in Ana. If the attending doctor was not her trusted staff, she would doubt whether Ana had deliberately arranged this. Where would there be such a coincidence in this world? The whole elite academy was boiling with excitement because of Ana's arrival. This was another classic example of the elite academy defeating the Milky Way Galaxy Military College. Even Hakatalan was unusually excited. He was also a potential pursuer of Princess Ana. A good family background and status, excellent personal abilities, he was good in all aspects. No matter what, Ana coming to the academy made Wang Zheng quite happy, until Wei Yan called him out. Clearly Wei Yan knew something. Anil and Lu Dai stood outside like two guards, leaving a private space for the two. Since the battle with the Ice-Fire battle team, Lu Dai and Anil also became famous. They could only say that Aslan had a lot of hidden talents. The arrival of Princess Ana would undoubtedly give the Aslan students at the Elite Academy a boost of confidence. Lu Dai and Anil were both very capable of teamwork. Maybe they had weaknesses, but it was difficult to target. If they were to use their abilities, others would not even have the power to fight back. Wang Zheng quietly listened to Wei Yan, and he had all the explanations to the questions in his heart. It was no wonder that Ana was sent on an exchange. Wei Yan was also having a headache because of her mother. She really knew how to make use of people, and she knew that if Ana's situation came to a conclusion, no matter what kind, there would still be no result for the matter between Ana and Wang Zheng. "Brother Wang Zheng, don't be angry," Lin Wei Yan said timidly. Wang Zheng smiled. "I am not angry, don't worry, I will not deliberately wake Ana up. I will just let nature take its course. Hopefully she will be fine, and that's good enough." "You are so nice." Wang Zheng quickly stopped Wei Yan as she tried to pounce on him. This girl was now more and more unaware of her actions. She did not even notice the murderous looks of Anil and Lu Dai towards Wang Zheng. Using the words of these two sisters, although the princess was young and friendly, Wang Zheng could not be ignorant. He must be careful not to invoke any international disputes. It was really scary to be trapped with this responsibility. Looking at Wei Yan now, it seemed that in addition to maintaining her innocent character and cuteness, she was really not young anymore. Lin Wei Yan pouted. "HMPH, even if my sister is here, you cannot ignore me." Wang Zheng spread out his hands helplessly. "I won't, Wei Yan is Wei Yan, Ana is Ana. Not to mention that she doesn't remember me now." "Then do you want sister to remember you?" Lin Wei Yan asked slyly suddenly. Wang Zheng did not answer. In fact, he did not know the answer to this question himself. So what if she remembered? So what if she did not remember? This symptom showed how much pressure Ana had endured. Maybe if he was not in her life, she would be a good princess and a good queen. She would live happily in accordance with how the royalty would normally live. Little girl, don't think so much, as long as Aina is fine, I don't care. Shay, you adults are always like this. Not straightforward at all. Okay, now you know the reason. Whether or not you can grasp the opportunity to getting the deed done depends on your ability. Lin Weiyan said. Wang Zheng, who was sitting opposite, was petrified. Getting the deed done. You, this little girl, are you looking for a beating? Wang Zheng pretended to be angry. Lin Weiyan immediately jumped out of the way and stuck out her tongue. HMPH, don't think that I don't know about this boy business. After saying, she disappeared with Lu Dai and Anil. Wang Zheng did not know if he should cry or laugh. At this age, Weiyan was probably the most curious, but this girl was also too daring, and dared to say anything. Getting the deed done. It seemed like a good suggestion, but that was only if Aina still remembered him, maybe. Back at the dormitory, Zhang Shan had been waiting. This brother seemed to be more anxious than Wang Zheng. What is the situation now? Did the Aslan imperial family become more open? *T, brother, the time for you to gain glory for the country is here. Brother supports you, go get her. Zhang Shan seemed to be more excited than Wang Zheng. Shoo, don't try to be funny, it is not what you think. Wang Zheng said, and explained simply the situation. Zhang Shan was angered. This Aslan royal family is too much. They even dare to do such things. Did they even consider your feelings? F***ck. Wang Zheng smiled. He could only not to judge others by your own standard. In any case, having this opportunity to live with Aina again was something Wang Zheng cherished. When Aina arrived at Elite Academy again, it undoubtedly caused a sensation. Although the academy emphasized her identity as an ordinary student, but this action in itself meant that Aina was not an ordinary student. As Aslan's first princess, she was the purest symbol of royal beauty. Since she was a child, her dressing preferences and hobbies were closely watched as trends. Now more than ever, Aina and Weiyan's participation in military affairs resulted only in voices of praise by the Aslan public. In the 2 days upon her arrival, Wang Zheng did not get the chance to see her, until Weiyan invited him over for afternoon tea. Exactly as Wang Zheng expected, Aina was just beside Weiyan when he arrived. Wang Zheng looked at her quietly. In the past individual elite competition he could only look at her from afar. This was the first time he stood so close to her since then. What was key was that expression in Aina's eyes were clear and calm, hiding no more emotions from the past. Suddenly, Wang Zheng smiled. Sis, this is the guy the first have especially invited, Saruman Snake Battle Team's captain, Wang Zheng. Weiyan introduced. Senior, don't be so mesmerized by my sister's beauty, acknowledge my existence too. Weiyan laughed, easing the embarrassing atmosphere. Wang Zheng restrained his emotions, and smiled, hello Aina. Aina stood up too and revealed a relaxed smile, student Wang Zheng, I've heard so much about you. Weiyan can't stop talking about you these days. Wang Zheng looked at Weiyan. The little princess blinked her eyes innocently, showing a knowing expression. Weiyan is a good person. Good person? It was the first time Aina heard someone using such a descriptive phrase, and could not help but laugh. This glorious laughter meant that although Aina did not change too much in terms of appearance, she was much more mature and generous. That same laughter must have stirred feelings in too many men. For Wang Zheng, it meant happiness. After his relationship got exposed, it seemed that Aina was never going to laugh so carefreely. Okay, sit down, Wang Zheng. Do you know who your opponent is going to be in the third round? Weiyan asked, eyes flashing excitedly like a little tiger's. Oh, is it announced? I don't know yet. Of course, as the princess, I am the first to know everything, Weiyan said proudly. With her sister around, she was really behaving like a little kid again. Weiyan, don't exaggerate, and there are no princesses in school. Yeah, lecturing me so soon. Senior, I know that your opponent is Olivia's Asura battle team, your fight will be much anticipated, cherish the chance. Weiyan said excitedly. Aina looked peacefully at Wang Zheng. This Wang Zheng looked quite ordinary, but seemed to have good character, confident and calm. There was also something special about his smile. Normal people tend to get shocked when they see her or get mesmerized by her beauty, but Aina could sense something else, something that she could not pinpoint, as though the other person was happy for her. How strange. Asura is very strong. Wang Jung said. No way, are you giving up? I was counting on you to win. Ah sister, I was just speculating for fun, I am not gambling, Wei Yan said. Wang Jung, what do you think is the weakness of Asura battle team? Do you have confidence in defeating them? Aina asked suddenly. She wanted to test this person in front of her. For an earthling to make it this far, he must be exceptional, but Aina truly felt that the arbiters, Aslan's dead rivals, were stronger. Wang Jung smiled, studying Aina. The Aina in front of him was just like the Aina he first met, confident and happy, and he himself was just the leader of the misfits. Aina, every battle team has their strengths and weaknesses, as for confidence, I am definitely confident. The old Aina was the least bit interested in military affairs. Aina nodded and did not continue the topic. In her opinion, she was not satisfied with Wang Jung's answer, he was at most somewhat confident. Senior Wang Jung. Wei Yan carried on reluctantly, my cousin is very optimistic about Asura battle team, you will give us an absolute surprise if you are able to defeat them. Reading between the lines, Wei Yan was trying to say that he might evoke Aina's memories if he defeated the Asura battle team. Olivius is very strong, I look forward to fighting against him. The trio carried on conversing for a while. After grasping Wang Jung's as a person, Aina left shortly, worried that this guy may pose a problem to Wei Yan. After Aina left, the atmosphere flipped. God, she does not seem to remember you at all, strange. Wang Jung, you must stay strong and help Aina regain her memories. I heard from the doctor that if it is not triggered, she will never remember the past. Wang Jung looked at the cup of coffee and took a slow sip. Wei Yan, it is no longer important if Aina still remembers me, maybe it is better if she forgets everything between us. Wang Jung smiled, temporarily stunning Wei Yan. Why, don't you like my sister? Wei Yan asked in shock. Wang Jung did not know whether to cry or laugh. Lass, it's not that I don't like her, it's, you won't get it, but thank you for trying and setting up this arrangement, let nature take its course. I don't understand, of course I don't understand if you are not willing to tell me. Wei Yan was depressed, what the heck was with these people, communicating in bits and pieces. Wang Jung was not in a bad mood, he was not able to share Aina's burden in the past, at least now, Aina was happy. Until this moment, he realized how much Aina had sacrificed, and how he had been lacking towards her. He had appreciated the memories they created together. The third round announcements came out. Dynasty vs Dark Wolves. Eagle vs Ice Fire Saruman Snake vs Asura Imperial Glory vs Star Leah. The main event would undoubtedly be the battle between Saruman Snake and Asura. At present there were only 3 winning battle teams, Imperial Glory, Asura and Saruman Snake, and Saruman Snake was about to face the ever-victorious Asura battle team. In fact, amongst the two multinational forces, almost everyone thought that Saruman Snake was weaker than Dynasty Battle Team, and Dynasty Battle Team's plight was because they were up against the Arbiters. Saruman Snake would face the same ending as them. Asura had a 90% chance of victory. Dynasty Battle Team and Dark Wolves battle was important to both parties. Dark Wolves wanted to win this battle, while Dynasty Battle Team wanted to prove that their defeat against Asura was just due to bad luck. Both parties were pumped up. For the Eagle and Ice Fire battle team, this was a battle of redemption. The two worst teams would battle it out and try to redeem themselves. There would still be a winner, so both parties should be prepared. Dynasty Battle Team and Star Leah Battle Team were on a more advantageous level. To win or to be defeated would carry less meaning compared to the other two battles. Star Leah Battle Team would try their best to battle out in their style, yet they were up against a tough opponent. The weaker teams were already seeking out more strategic players. To carry on their losing streak would be an embarrassment on this glorious arena. Everyone was stunned knowing who Saruman Snake's opponent was, but they knew that it was going to happen sooner or later. The past victories brought great confidence, and everyone believed that they were the strongest team. Yet, whoever fighting against Asura Battle Team knew that the odds of winning was not in their favor. Saruman Snake's team tactics meet. The main players and substitute players were all gathered. Wang Jung looked at the crowd and said one sentence, I want this battle. Zhang Shan was stunned, and immediately exuded an enthusiastic stance. Very good, our captain had issued his command, we will kill the Asura battle team. Zhang Shan, Mind your words, beating Asura battle team does not depend on just a cheer. Ai Xiaolu stayed very quiet. As the leader of Saruman Snake, she had started receiving attention. After all, Elite Academy X advocated for the various countries to learn from each other's strengths and weaknesses, through increased collaboration and exchange, unlike Arbiter and Aslan's behavior. The Academy would promote the Saruman Snake Team and Dynasty Battle Team, but only if their record was good. This battle will definitely not be easy. Asura Battle Team is strong, Olivius is like a sharp knife, and they have the best historical records amongst all the teams. Wang Zheng said. He believed that even in actual combat, the soldiers of Arbiter were not afraid of death. If he were to choose a comrade, he would choose the Arbiters instead of the Aslanians. As for opponents, only a fool would choose to fight against the Arbiters. Yet, this was exactly what they were going to face. Wang Zheng, you don't need to repeat this, everyone knows that. What we want to know is their weakness and our strategy, Zhang Shan said. In his situation, he was the member who would most likely be targeted by the Arbiters. I just said their weakness. Wang Zheng smiled. The Asura Battle Team is not strictly dependent on a single member, but their psychologies of discipline and sacrifice, and undoubtedly the leadership of Olivius would be in a certain way their weakness as well. Or so to speak, their lack of independent thought is their weakness. Achilles said. As one of the top-notch players, he was fearless and without doubt would be dispatched for the battle against Asura Battle Team. The rest would be selected based on competency and battle tactics. Both Wang Zheng and Olivius were good at a variety of positions. Once a position was chosen, their overall tactics would be completely different. It was really difficult to say who had the upper hand. If someone was said to be able to individually challenge Olivius, that person was Wang Zheng. So, Saruman Snake could not overly rely on Wang Zheng, as he would be meeting an opponent of his match. Olivius and I would be in a free position. This is our long-anticipated battle after all. Wang Zheng smiled. Battles sometimes relied on avoiding the best warrior, and sometimes relied on psychological advantage. Olivius and him would finally meet in battle, causing a kind of anticipation that no other person would understand. And, in front of her, Wang Zheng did not want to retreat. Wang Zheng, if you need, I can hold Olivius down for a while, Achilles said. He had calculated, to face Olivius individually, he had at most 30 to 40% chance. Olivius' cultivation of the body was beyond anyone's imagination, but he would not be able to settle Achilles within a couple of strikes. I am just worried that the Arbiters would use the same method to hold down Wang Zheng, Milo said. Wang Zheng shook his head. Nope, there would be nowhere to run for me in this battle, whoever retreats would lose their momentum. Achilles could understand what Wang Zheng meant. Wang Zheng was the only one qualified enough to say this. For those who had not experienced failure, they would continue building invincible pyramids in their psychological world, building upon the crushed egos of their opponents. There was no turning back. Once you showed fear and retreat, everything would collapse in an instant. One could lie to others, but there was no point deceiving oneself. One had to face what they have to face. This was a logic Wang Zheng knew. A logic that Olivius knew. Since Wang Zheng was so determined, the rest did not interfere. Wang Zheng's fight with Olivius would be the highlight of the battle. They would establish themselves as Elite Academy X's next generation of worthy warriors. The question was, who was stronger? Lear had already lost to Olivius. Now was the time to find out who was stronger amongst the two. Zhang Shan and the rest were excited of course, and would not want to pose as a burden to Wang Zheng. Vincent could not wait as well. He had witnessed the domineering pride of Wang Zheng and Olivius. Unfortunately, the powerful Atlanteans were in the way of their battle during the time of IG. At Elite Academy X, Vincent felt that both Wang Zheng and Olivius were much more serious than before, much more powerful than before. They only knew to recharge their energy, store this strength and await a time for their brutal outbreak. This time, Vincent was no longer a bystander, he was a participant. Everyone started the discussion on the battle tactics. Wang Zheng's position was determined. Others were more entangled within. After 2 rounds of discussions, everyone's strategy and main ability X to be used was clear. What one could think of was what the opponents would have taken into account. Wang Zheng had to decide exactly which mech he was going to use. Amongst them, he could use the Phantom King, the Storm Swordsman, the Overlord, but which one stood first place in his heart? Even Wang Zheng himself did not know the answer to that question. If it was an individual battle with Olivius, things were more straightforward, and perhaps easier, but since it was a group battle, he had to take the rest into consideration. Similarly, after the announcement, Asura battle team grew strangely serious. This was due to the importance of this battle to Olivius. Cap, we will listen to you. Wang Zheng definitely will not choose the Golden Wheel Battle God. If he chooses the position of the Free Warrior, you can handle it, we will settle the rest. Briston said. Olivius shook his head slightly. Bio, who stood at the side, had a dignified expression. It's not so simple. If they are considering individual battles, they each have a 50% chance of winning, but since it's a group battle, there are more factors to account for. The balance can be destroyed easily. We have to be clear about our strategy. Bio was Olivius' most loyal follower. In his heart, Olivius was absolutely invincible, yet he said Olivius only had a 50% chance of winning. The other people wanted to laugh, yet Olivius did not refute it. The atmosphere grew tense. Olivius looked around. I hope everyone will put in their best for this battle. Don't look down on Saruman Snake. We do not have any advantages in this battle. Olivius said without hesitation. Outside the window, Martsu quietly watched as his brother commanded, and his mouth finally showed a smile. Seeing Olivius' attitude, Martsu knew he was prepared. He had always been a bystander. He had even battled it out with Achilles before. Smart and strong, he could feel his own potential. On the Elite Academy X Battle Arena, it was more like a performance theater. Saruman Snake was going to be a huge battle. Their only chance of victory was to get Asura battle team to be complacent. Now that he knew Olivius and Bio's stance, it was not a bad thing to awaken the ever-victorious Asura battle team captain sometimes. The day was finally here. Olivius would evolve further as long as he passed this test. He might even surpass him. The day was finally here, he was looking forward to it. The Overlord and the Slayer were not Olivius' best performing mecha. Just that it had been so long since anyone pushed him to the point of not using these two mecha. All eyes were on the Asura battle team and the Saruman Snake battle team, especially within the college. Most colleges in other countries, including Ares College, agreed that only the Imperial Glory battle team had the capability to compete with the Asura battle team. The Saruman Snake battle team's team just had to play their own game and the victory laid entirely on God. However, within the Elite Academy, which understood the whole scenario, everyone knew that the Saruman Snake battle team still had the odds of winning the battle. The Dynasty battle team's opponent would be the Dark Wolves battle team, but that was not Lear's main concern as he had the full information about the team. He only cared about the match between the Saruman Snake battle teams and Asura battle team because if he lost, Wang Zheng couldn't be allowed to win either. Any news on the Saruman Snake battle team? Same old situation, but they seem confident. Apart from that, Princess Aina met Wang Zheng once, but it looked like she had completely forgotten about Wang Zheng, said Luo Fei. Are you sure she is not acting? Doubt it, answered Luo Fei. Lear nodded. After all, he had a different intel system compared to the rest and had heard about the story between Aina and Wang Zheng. Aina's bravery was indeed admirable back in IG, but she had overestimated her ability in handling the situation, just like how Wang Zheng always did. This is actually good, it's not a bad idea to get Wang Zheng distracted. Boss, regardless, the Asura battle team is totally out of the Saruman Snake battle team's team league. We just have to sit still and watch the show, Luo Fei said. Lear faintly glanced at Fatty Luo. Do you really think so? Of course, the team lineup speaks for itself, and with Aina here, Wang Zheng's mind is half gone. Lear quirked a little. Hopefully, I will need everyone to work harder this weekend. Boss, wise words. Luo Fei's fat face turned dark. The sentence had been his worst fear. Extra training after extra training. This extra training had been getting on his nerves. Extra trainings were nothing but a waste of time, youth, and every D*MN good thing. However, Fatty Luo could only put on his brightest smile when he met Lear's gaze. Lear certainly knew what was really in Luo Fei's mind. Come on Fatty, no pain no gain. Luo Fei could only laugh awkwardly. How could he tell Lear all he wanted in life was to be an average Joe? This was just another weekend for most of the students, but it had been a very intense for all the battling teams, with the exception of everyone from Saruman's snake battle team, who were on holiday. Lear was certainly pleased with the news. To Lear, this was certainly Wang Zheng's plan to spend more time with Aina. It was understandable that most men could not resist the opportunity, let alone that he also knew how Aina and Wang Zheng were very serious in this relationships. The actual fact was just that Wang Zheng felt it was useless to burn the midnight oil. He believed that training required a kind of enthusiasm, it should be proactive rather than reactive. It had been important to remain calm before a major match like such. Of course, one was welcome to have extra training if it was done voluntarily. Zhang Shan decided to give himself a break. He wasn't too sure which part went wrong, but he had been facing rejection from girls in Elite Academy X. There had been plenty of female fans in the team, but none of them were interested in being his girlfriend. Would it be because he was acting too cold, or was it that he wasn't good-looking enough? He had been known to be humorous, and next in line after Achilles in terms of looks. Aside from that, Achilles had Milo. Geez, girls' taste had been bad nowadays. He was planning to discuss with Wang Zheng about this issue. However, Wang Zheng was summoned by Skylink right after the weekend training. Zhang Shan knew it must be Lin Weiyan again. Jar Jar, am I? Any plans tonight? Let's have drinks? Sorry, the alumni club organized an event for the juniors to clarify their doubts. I will buy you a drink the next time around. Jar Jar Mi smiled happily. The juniors had always had an inexplicable attraction to the seniors, not to mention Jar Jar Mi had been one of the key men in the Saruman snake battle team. Vincent, any plans? Let's go to Roland Garros to have some fun? You go ahead, I need to familiarize myself with a few technical moves. Or would you like to join me instead? Vincent said. Zhang Shan quirked, all the best to you bro, I think I need a break. Zhang Shan thought that he must be crazy to ask the training fanatic Vincent to hang out. After asking around, everyone seemed to have their own plans. Zhang Shan wanted to look for Wang Zheng but decided not to. Wang Zheng finally had the opportunity to spend time with the person he liked and Zhang Shan decided to leave him alone. The only activity to be done alone would probably be shopping. Oh well, it wasn't a bad idea since he had not bought any gifts for the family since he came to Roland Garros. Zhang Shan started his shopping spree at the shopping center. He just aimlessly purchased since it was convenient as the shop could just wrap the presents and deliver it back to Earth. Through this way, he could put the upcoming fight aside temporarily. The Asura battle team, how a minion like him could break through it. Sweeney actions had been in his mind. This type of high-frequency explosive mech warrior with stealth was simply unbeatable for his wind god. How could this be solved? No one but himself could solve this, but he had no idea how to do it now. He felt that he was going to break down if he continued to think about the problem. Zhang Shan continued his aimless walk along the streets. He enjoyed taking a stroll down the street, looking at the beautiful promoters. It wasn't really about their looks, rather about the costumes, miniskirts, slender legs, high heels. Don't misunderstand Zhang Shan as a pervert. He had been a gentleman, he simply wanted to use these beauties to find his inspiration. He believed that beauty was an art and the greatest gift from God to mankind, especially the men. Among the crowds, a plush square ball was particularly eye-catching. It looked like a scarecrow in a wheat field, with two silly wings. It was engraved with various characters and it felt like a cult propaganda doll. Zhang Shan was ready to get past it and continued with his journey for inspiration but was pulled by the square dolls. Classmates, would you be interested in science? We are the Bohemia Science Research Club. We are expanding our members' number. If you are interested, do you want to try to participate in the activities of our seminar club? There are free drinks too, said Plush Toy. Zhang Shan wanted to leave, but heard that it was a girl's voice, thus a little gentlemanly manner is required. Sorry, I am not interested in science. However, the plush toy had not let go of Zhang Shan, nor could you blame her. She had been promoting it here for a long time. No one cared about her. When she finally saw a student, she was determined to make a final effort. Classmates, interest can be cultivated, and as a new generation of elites, we should have a deeper understanding of the universe. This is. Zhang Shan was depressed. He came here to look for inspiration and didn't want to understand the universe. Zhang Shan was feeling giddy initially and now he felt like blowing his brains out. The voice of this furry mascot was not bad, it was a pity though, looking at the swollen body, there was an 80 to 90% chance that she was a dinosaur. The quality of voices usually was the opposite of looks. Classmate, actually there is a meeting later. Each formal member has to find a science lover. Could you help me? Just go and listen. The furry mascot rubbed her two huge furry paws. Zhang Shan's heart softened. Since he was not aiming for anything, it was good to have a change of environment too. Once he thought of the science symposium, Zhang Shan's first thought was a gathering of dinosaurs. After all, student Zhang studied physics in the past. Those symposiums, they were all hard to look at. Seeing Zhang Shan nod his head, that furry mascot took off her headgear and flashed a bright smile. Thank you. I'm Yu, how about you? Student Zhang Shan was petrified. He looked at this angelic blonde-haired girl in front of his eyes. He finally understood the phrase to get results effortlessly after having exhausted all efforts. The symposium was arranged to be at the library. Zhang Shan only knew, after he had reached, that this club was quite famous in Roland Garros. The mentors in charge were all professors from the Roland Garros University. Very quickly, the official symposium started. It was not just Yu who needed to recommend someone new. There were 5 more students like Zhang Shan who came here to experience it. The opening of the symposium was the self-introduction of the new students who were here for the experience. These 5 experiential members had quite the background and had the attention of many people. Zhang Shan was the last to self-introduce. Yu was obviously very nervous and stared at him with her big eyes. Zhang Shan smiled and stood up. Hi everybody, I'm Zhang Shan. Then he sat down again. Silence, it was over, could he be even simpler? Ahem, student Zhang Shan, we don't know which department you are from. A girl called Xu Qian asked. It was obvious she and Yu had quite good relations. Oh, the mecha department. Zhang Shan continued to smile. Instantly all the gazes concentrated on him. This type of newcomer event was actually important yet not really focused on. The important thing was that this was the only way to expand the influence of the club and maintain the vitality of its members. Even more so, it was to improve the members' interpersonal skills, rather than really having a need to recommend new members. Under this premise, it was logical that the self-introductions of the experiential members were not of primary concern. But, a mecha department student had come here, this was strange. Yu and Xu Qian were also stunned. They never thought that Zhang Shan would be an all-brawn no-brains mecha department student. He looked so scholarly, so they thought he was from the business stream or something. The others smirked out loud. What was a mecha department student coming here to experience? To experience the feeling of listening to the Bible. What is a mecha department student doing here? A voice sounded. Zhang Shan laughed. I heard that there are free drinks here, so I came. Everyone was stunned. Not to say that there was any conflict, but in school, the mecha and science departments were 2 different paths, even business or the arts were better. The final newcomer was introduced and formal discussions began. It was an open discussion and the questions were not prepared in advance, instead, they were raised on the spot. The questions were not raised one by one either, but were all written on a big blackboard at a side. Those who were interested in the same problem would gather and brainstorm together. Halfway through, they could also go to other discussion groups to give their opinion. Once they had the answers, they would verify the answers through the library's network. Zhang Shan was just an audience member. More often, he just stared at Yu. In his mind, he was thinking about something else. The Soul Reaper's movements were like a ghost. Could his wind god escape when the Soul Reaper was dealing with its fatal blow? No, it was not enough just to escape. He was a scout. If he only knew how to escape, what was the point? Mei equation, Sanjia law, everyone was engaged in intense discussions. Their interest in the mysteries of the universe was obvious, and Zhang Shan was really here just to have free drinks. Seeing his frown, it was obvious that he did not understand a single thing. Yu also felt a little embarrassed. Sorry for troubling you. Zhang Shan smiled. No, it's very interesting. Interesting. Student Zhang Shan, science is a very serious and grand truth. A decent-looking spectacled man said seriously. He was very dissatisfied with Zhang Shan's perverted gazes at Yu. It was only because of restraint and grace that he did not speak up. Zhang Shan smiled and did not answer. He just kept looking at Yu. How can a pretty girl like you be interested in physics? Zhang Shan noticed that the discussions that Yu participated in were basically all on physics. Yu was blushing slightly after being praised as pretty. My dream is to be like Xiao Fei. Ah, do you know Professor Xiao Fei? Hee, quite familiar. Zhang Shan was laughing out loud in his heart. Boss Xiao was very powerful now. She had conquered Roland Garros already. Am I thinking too highly of myself? And I want to be a general who leads the entire fleet. Yu laughed again. Oh yes, I still don't know which college you are from. Cross Academy. Zhang Shan was about to answer when Xu Qian walked over and pulled Yu over. Yu, come over and help me with a calculation. I don't know who came up with such a perverted question. After discussing for so long, I still can't get a solution. Yu's eyes lit up and she immediately focused her attention on the discussion of the new question. Zhang Shan opened his mouth and followed them. When he looked at the problem, he frowned. Obviously, the difficulty was higher than those before, and there were too many variables. Ignore one and the whole thing would be wrong. This discussion group was a bit quiet. Some were calculating, and some were racking their brains for ideas. Zhang Shan touched his chin for a while. He also needed to do quite a lot of thinking about this problem. How about using the Zoot formula? Subconsciously, Zhang Shan also immersed himself in the discussion group and gave his opinion. Who is making a joke? How can we use Zoot? It's such a low-level formula. However, Yu entered the calculations immediately. Ah, the first variable is solved. The discussion group was quiet again. WHWHWH, who was it? It suddenly became intense again. Zhang Shan touched his chin, but no one looked at him at all. FK, they all failed to recognize his great talent. Yu was now immersed in her fast calculations. Soon, the second variable was solved as well. As the known conditions increased, the latter problems were no longer problems. After a few minutes, she wrote down the answer. But was this answer correct or wrong? Verification was through the Roland Garros knowledge base connected through the library. The reason why this symposium club was famous was that it had the authority to search the knowledge base. However, there was a problem this time. It involves the level of experimental confidentiality, and it is impossible to verify immediately. Xu Qian, who was responsible for the verification, frowned and shook his head at everyone. Obviously, this wasn't the first time. Everyone smiled helplessly. Well, some of the key data involved are really very sensitive. Even if it is the mentors, they might not have the authority to make an immediate search. An application will be needed. After getting permission, you will then be authorized once to make a specified search of the knowledge base. Several older members explained the situation to new members who have not experienced such a thing. Zhang Shan was stunned. There was such a thing. Zhang Shan did not care at all whether or not this answer was right or wrong. He had been away from physics for too long and he did not have the talent of Wang Zheng. It was just that when he looked at the focused and eager looks of Yu, he suddenly thought of his former self. He could not help but shake his head. It seemed like he was really a mech warrior now. Yes, he was a mech warrior. Since he embarked on this road, he would not look back. Since he was a warrior, he would not fear, no matter who his opponent was. He walked to one side and dialed Wang Zheng's Skylink. Soon, Zhang Shan received an authorization code that was valid for a one-time search within 5 minutes. He walked to the search position that Xu Qian was occupying. Can I try? Xu Qian was stunned for a moment and glared at Zhang Shan. You, a temporary substitute actor, why not just be good and drink your free drink honestly? Zhang Shan, this is, Yu also came over. I'm just trying. I won't destroy anything. Zhang Shan smiled and waved his hands lightly. Xu Qian could not help but free out the position. After sitting down, Zhang Shan quickly entered the authority code and made a search of the question in the knowledge base. The spectacled man stood at one side and had a look of disdain. Beep. Authority granted. Time limited, 10 minutes. Number of times to search the knowledge base. One soon, the answer was verified and the data was perfectly matched to Yu's calculations. Both Yu and Shu Qian stared blankly at Zhang Shan. Even their mentor had to apply for permission. How could he make the search immediately? At this time, the others also felt that something was wrong. Those present were all smart people, especially the discussion group on this problem. They could already confirm that the person who suggested the Zoot formula was Zhang Shan. Thank you for your free drink, till we meet again. Zhang Shan smiled slightly, turned, and left. He could feel the burning gazes behind him. The silhouette of a brother's back must be tall, broad, and gorgeous enough. F*K. This was the realm of acting high and mighty. It was so satisfying. Silence filled the place. Yu, which school is this Zhang Shan from? Yu shook her head. It seems to be a cross academy? Oh my god, Elite Academy X, do you have his Skylink? Yu continued to shake her head. Elite Academy X, this was the hottest place right now. Elites from various countries in the Milky Way Alliance gathered there. Although it was mainly focused on military services, recently the Greatest King competition organized by them was popular throughout the Milky Way Military Academy. The scale of this competition was huge. Those who were eligible to participate were known as the most outstanding warriors of the current Milky Way Alliance, the future generals, an existence that defends the Milky Way Alliance. Then did you give him your Skylink? Yu shook her head again. Zhang Shan, who had returned to Inner Roland, was also a bit confused. Wasn't his image shining enough? Why wasn't the girl contacting him? Suddenly, Zhang Shan remembered a very serious problem, that is, the other party did not have his contact information at all. F*K. It was a must to leave his Skylink number before acting all high and mighty. Shaking his head dejectedly, a confident smile re-emerged on Zhang Shan's face. Let go of the past, and look at the future. He was Zhang Shan, a mecha warrior, a scout. As the weekend came to an end, members of the Saruman Snake Battle Team felt as though they were a recharged electric motor. Zhang Shan, who previously lacked confidence, had regained his composure. Vincent was very pleased with himself. Takumi remained massive. It's good to be slow when you were reassembling. Snowly's placidness met the standards of a sniper. As for Achilles, he was good-looking and popular, as ever. Wang Zheng looked forward greatly to the match with Olivius as well, but it was a different feeling from the rest of them. There was no stress or anxiety, for, in many ways, he was similar to Olivius. They had both lost their ability to fear, or that they were just monsters. They could not stop and had no idea how to stop. Ai Xiaolu had put in a lot of effort for the Saruman Snake Battle Team. She managed the entire battle team, including everyone's expenses. To be honest, a fair, pretty, and rich battle team leader had certainly improved things. Wang Zheng never had to worry about a single thing regarding the battle team's costumes or other related stuff. With Ai Xiaolu's keen eye for beauty, it would definitely be the best in Milky Way Alliance. Whether Wang Zheng and the rest was up to standard for the match was a cause for concern, but undoubtedly, the image of Saruman Snake Battle Team was comparable to those of Imperial Glory Battle Team and Asura Battle Team. Of course, what was on the outside did not really matter to the warriors. Winning was the most important thing. The arrival of Aina was not good news for the Hail Cloud sisters. This woman is so difficult to get rid of, Ai Xiaolu thought. I've just received the news. Do you want to know? Ai Xiaolu asked Snowly, who was standing at the side and lost in thought. Snow paused for a moment and said, I don't want to. Oh please, your expression has long betrayed you. Well, it is considered both good and bad news, Ai Xiaolu replied helplessly. Anya injured herself during one of the operations by the Milky Way Military College and lost her memory. I guess the reason she is coming to Elite Academy this time is to seek treatment. Snowly was a smart girl. You mean, she has forgotten Wang Zheng? You are about right. So the Aslan royal family is working together now? She was taken by surprise. Ai Xiaolu smiled and said mockingly, the royal family will never be that kind. They are just worried about Aina's mental health. After all, she is the future queen. Even if Aina regains her memory, Wang Zheng will lose his value once he is used. At most, they will seek better ways to do things. I know them too well. They can give up everything for the so-called interests of the royal family. Any type of family interest will become a burden once it reached a certain threshold. One would even lose themselves in the process. Why are you worrying about Wang Jung anyway? I'm telling you, you are really. Ai Xiaolu could feel her blood boiling. Snow was too passive and weak in fighting for herself. She always put others before her. This could not persist. You need to be more proactive. So what if Aina is here? Let me create an opportunity for you two to have some private time, seal the deal and we will all be happy. Snow's face turned lobster red instantly. Stop spouting nonsense. You can do it with him if you want. I wish I could. I'm just afraid that someone might be jealous. Ai Xiaolu teased. Oh well, I can't be bothered with your matter anyway. I have too many things to settle for Ice Fire Battle Team. They're giving me a headache. As the central figure of Hail Cloud Alliance in Elite Academy, it was impossible for Ai Xiaolu to wash her hands off the Ice Fire Battle Team. She had to provide support and conceive plans for them, but their current situation was worrisome. Both girls were not paying attention in class, less so for Snow. She liked Wang Jung for this reason. Seeing the wistful smile on his face, she could not help but feel a strong, unexplained attraction towards him. As for herself, she didn't think too much. It has always been difficult for girls to rationalize on relationship matters. Ai Xiaolu and Snow Lee certainly belonged to two extreme ends on the character bar. Defense was never her thing. She enjoyed attacking. She was extremely serious in this particular matter. It was in Ai Xiaolu's nature to fight, but too few people in her life had the capacity to do so. They were either not powerful enough or could not meet her intelligence. Aina was a rare, capable opponent. The goal now was to defeat the Asura battle team, and then Imperial Glory. It had been a long time since an opponent made Ai Xiaolu so excited. Aina's arrival had greatly boosted the morale of Imperial Glory's battle team as well. Whether if it was Hawkatelan or Heracles, they had all gained confidence. Aina set clear goals for the battle team. This stage is gradually expanding, presenting an opportunity for Imperial Glory battle team to showcase the Aslan's style to the whole of Milky Way Alliance. What Aina emphasized on was not victory but the honor and courage a warrior ought to have. Even though Heracles came from Atlantis, he respected Aina greatly, because she was chosen by God. Significant changes occurred within the Imperial Glory battle team, but only those who were inside could feel it. Compared to Aina's powerful presence, Weian behaved like a small child. She took part in these events only for the fun of it and did not have any ulterior motives, let alone the hope of bringing people together. Weian was not very invested in the first place. Now that Aina had returned, she could finally be free and do whatever she liked. With a cousin to oversee everything on the front line, she could be carefree and happy. The third round of the royal battle has begun. Dynasty Battle Team and Dark Wolves Battle Team set their eyes on victory. As rumor has it that the competition will enter an intermission after the third round, each battle team was more determined than ever to succeed. Dynasty Battle Team, Dark Wolves Battle Team Luo Fei, Wind God Mech, Slauberg, Hades 9.0. Peng Wu, Fortress Mech, Wolf, Wolf Soul Guard, Lear, Unbounded Alpha, Yongpan, Sirius. Lai Xin, Flaming Waltz, Lepkev, Radiant Wheel King. Subaru, Maya's Mantis, Zheng Kuang, Sentinel V. The group battle had become a compulsory module in the Elite Academy. It was also the most popular course in all military schools. After a careful selection and consideration of different factors, there were currently 1,300 schools that would be streaming the battle, either live or recorded based on the individual school's conditions. In the beginning, everyone treated the competition like a form of enrichment or entertainment, but after the first two matches, the various military schools started paying more attention to it, especially for strong countries like the Arbiter Republic and Aslan, who had capabilities similar to Elite Academy X. The combat skills, applications of techniques and judgments of the warriors had all greatly influenced the students and boosted their competitive mindset. Hence, it was said that the impact on these schools was the most visible. For the weaker schools, the competition was definitely not practical, but it no doubt helped to broaden their horizons and raise their standards. At the very least, it had encouraged more people to train actively. Of course, there were schools that shunned the competition. Given the disparity in standards, there were fears that it may lead to a loss of confidence, but the majority of the schools chose to embrace it. Recently, more schools had taken up the challenge and asked for exchange opportunities. Some were even more direct in their request, asking for a tour. With all these accomplishments, Elite Academy X was on its way to becoming the weather vane of the military schools in Milky Way Alliance. To the school, it was a purposeful move towards the pinnacle of Milky Way Alliance. Of course, this was only the start. The greatest king competition had just begun. What it could achieve in the end was still uncertain. After the previous match, Wolf God Yongpan had already proven himself. He could have gotten the first victory, should he had been more cautious. Nevertheless, this match was an opportunity for him. The mech warriors of both battle teams entered the battleground and got into their normal positions. Beside Aina, Hakadalin was introducing in detail the history and special traits of each battle team. Wei Yan dared not sit beside Wang Zheng this time around. Aina was extremely particular about this. As an Aslan princess, she should be seated with her battle teammates in such a public event. Wei Yan was a mess. How should she put this across? She was the one who led the protest, and Wei Yan was only following her. Now that the role model had lost her memories, this was a problem. Aina nodded her head vigorously. She was definitely surprised to find out how influential the solar system was here. Out of the blue, Aina asked, "How is Wang Zheng's standard?" Hakadalin was taken aback. Losing to Wang Zheng was something that he could not get over. The princess's question had thrown him off guard. After all, she was present when it happened. But he knew that it was because she had lost her memory. While he was glad that Aina could not recall his humiliation, he overlooked the fact that she would ask. His body techniques are strong, but abilities-wise, amorphous. This is a special characteristic of the solar system. He is quite arrogant. Hakadalin had always thought that it was by accident that Wang Zheng used the space slicing technique. Otherwise, he would have won the match. However, explaining it would only make it seem like he was making excuses, so he did not want to say much now. He would resolve this when he met the Saruman Snake battle team again. Aina nodded and shot a glance at Wang Zheng from afar. Honestly, she did not like him at all. Not only did he lack grace, he was lazy and unprincipled. She could not understand how Wei Yan had grown close to him. She had to take extra care on this matter, especially since Wei Yan was in her rebellious phase. She did not want any scandals to erupt between the two. Everyone, except for her, could not do anything about Wei Yan. Since young, Wei Yan had always ignored Kashawan's advice but listened to hers. Her way to resolve this was simple: she would just make sure that Wei Yan was always by her side and not let Wang Zheng have any chances. Fortunately, Wang Zheng had no idea what Aina was thinking, for he would have been speechless. The troop lineup for both battle teams did not have many changes. It was apparent that they had become more confident. Lear had only fielded one Mayan this time. Obviously, he did not find the Dark Wolves battle team intimidating enough to exert his full force. 10 mech warriors entered the battleground and got into the line formation. Lear made his move on Yongpan, who returned a sardonic smile. He certainly looked forward to taking on Lear, one-on-one. Not only that, he had planned to give his competitor a surprise. A chance that he did not have during the last 2 matches with Dark Wolves' battle team. This time around, he could finally confront them formally and properly. Slauberg had always looked down on a rookie like Luo Fei. People of this standard were not even qualified to be near him when they were competing in IG. Yet, Luo Fei had somehow managed to make it here. As for Slauberg, he has been quite popular recently as well, for his dark screen technique was widely recognized and hence contributed significantly to his battle team. Even so, Luo Fei was the only scout that received an MVP award, but few people could take a liking to this fatty. He was timid, fearful of death, gluttonous and so hideous looking that one's hair would raise. But as a battle teammate, he was a reliable scout. As a competitor, you would want to be extra cautious, as he might deliver a deadly blow when one least expected it. For any battle team, so long as there was confidence, there was hope. This is a very important fight. Lear is in a very reckless position. Shui Yu was only paying attention to the more attractive competitor. It seemed like Lear was a lot better than Yongpan. Yes, Yongpan is also at the forefront. Looks like both captains are trying to achieve something in this match, Ka Dao mentioned as he made his notes. The Greatest King competition had provided him with first-hand information on the adaptability of current students. The situation on the battleground was difficult to explain, even the audiences had very different interpretations of what was going on. Perhaps, this was what they called a legendary match between the generals. As the two armies crossed their swords, the generals strived for the world. This was the true meaning of the cold weapons era, but in modern wars, all these have become myths. Intelligence was now the key to success, albeit an intimidating presence is still required sometimes. The Dark Wolves and Dynasty Battle Team were eager to not just prove to everyone they could win, but more importantly, to establish their dominance and show their formidability. This was what the captains were after. After all, it is a battle for the greatest, not a real war. You have to display your prowess. And tell the world, I am the most powerful. Lear's unbounded mech was among the top 5 in the individual elite battle, hence, he was confident. As for Yang Pan, he had been the champion for the past 2 years of solo matches and possessed dominating ability. He could fight under any circumstances. He sneered, if this is what you want, you will have it. The serious mech maneuvered swiftly while hauling the massive alloy sword. Both mecha veered tactfully away from the obstructing infrastructures. The other battle team members made a surprise attack. The battle team mindedness demonstrated in the second round had once again returned to the stiff tension in a line formation. This showed that after 2 rounds of the battle team had indeed gained confidence. While it was kind of similar to the first round, they felt very different on the inside. The Dynasty Battle Team was known for their battle team capabilities. The solar system body techniques and the power attack of the double Mayans were their core strategy. But this time, the Dynasty Battle Team were bent on proving a point. That's right. Here and now, in front of everyone, Lear wished to prove his abilities in front of everyone. The Dynasty Battle Team was his legacy, not just the efforts of Mayans. There was a difference between a battle team battle and an individual battle. There was little time for one to test the waters, reinvigorate oneself or even look for your opponent's Achilles heel in a battle team setting. It is crucial for one to defeat their opponents in a single move. This also meant that one had to be powerful. Whoever that was brutal and stronger could end the match in a single exchange. Once both parties shared this mentality, to defeat their opponents in the shortest amount of time, the fast-paced attacks would leave no room for hesitation. You either lived or you died. At this moment, with so many people following the competition, whoever won would rule the world. As for the loser, they would never be able to stand up again. It was not simply just a defeat. If it were an individual battle, of course, there would be a victor and a loser. But as the captain of a battle team battle, one had to account for their choice. Nobody would think of conceding as it was a cowardly move in a battle team. One's battle team members are at stake. Yang Pan's ability X started brewing. This was a result of his battle experiences. His element of fire was not of a normal standard, but one of higher levels. This also meant that his ability X had to be purer and more invincible. His strong debilitating power allowed him to kill an opponent instantly with one strategic blow. Usually, he could do it easily, when his opponents were weaker than him. But when they were of a higher caliber, he would have to seek the opportunity when he exchanged blows with them. Yang Pan had increased his explosive power greatly through his experiences. He was now well adapted to meet all sorts of opponents. This explained how he clinched the title of being a solo champion. As for Lear, his speed and body techniques were more suitable for tangling with the opponent. No one could understand why he has chosen to confront Yang Pan head-on. Perhaps it was his defeat in the last match with Asura that caused him to lose his rationality and spurred him to prove his abilities. Lear and Yang Pan would be evenly matched in a duel. However, if it involved a battle team, it would be a 40/60th chance. Lear had made a judicious choice, but it was understandable because there were so many spectators and Princess Aina was one of them. It was only natural that he wished to impress. The speed of Lear's unbounded mech was normal, but the Ares art had already circulated his entire body. He tightened his fist and locked his eyes with his opponent's magnificent alloy sword. Yang Pan did not underestimate his opponent. By the third round, potentially the last one of this phase, the Dark Wolves battle team was in a bad shape, especially in the previous match. He had used all his might to take down the opponent. If he could defeat the Dynasty battle team, the situation would no doubt take a turn. With one win, one draw, and one loss, things sounded completely different. Yang Pan knew that Lear was depending only on the Mayans. But he was too naive. It was a pity, as Lear had never intended to use Maya's mantis. He had already received news from his professor that this would be the final round of the Greatest King competition. The elite academy was just doing a trial run. While the results had been good so far, there was still room for improvement in many aspects. The school had received countless applications to join the battle. But what was more important was that the battle had fueled the students' desire to win. The point was not the matches, but self-improvement. Hence, after the third round, the competition would enter an intermission period. Lear was sure that this battle would be recorded in the history of the elite academy, or even that of human civilization. And he wanted to be the person who left a legacy behind, starting from this moment. He bellowed. It came from his heart, his soul, and carried his great ambitions. The beam saber released rays of light that penetrated every corner. The ability X began building up as well, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. It seems like Lear was ready to engage in a life-or-death battle with Yang Pan. Zhang Shan's jaw dropped. God, is this still the Lear that I know? When did he become so fearless? There's definitely a conspiracy. Yang Pan's serious advanced audaciously. The tension was in the air. The two captains had taken control of the situation the moment the battle began. The two of them are trying to defeat each other in one strike. They are too impulsive, Ka Dao gawked. The battle between any two strong mech warriors always requires some buffer time so that the body could adapt to the impact of physics and the ability X. What they were doing was suicidal. They hurt their opponents as much as they hurt themselves. There were only 20 meters left between the two mecha. The other mecha were still a distance away from each other. It was obvious that both teams were leaving their fate to the captains. Lear's beam saber was dazzling. The moment had arrived. Sirius leapt towards the sky and slashed the alloy sword downwards. His debilitating power was bestowed upon him by heaven. There was nothing he could not eliminate. It was a spectacular sight, as the incomparable ability X struck towards unbounded like lightning. Yang Pan's debilitating power originated from the metal element. But its greatest strength is that once you enter his zone of control, it is controlled by the spirit. Just as Ka Dao ended his sentence, the unbounded mech disappeared. Yang Pan has amassed his strength and ability X to the highest point, but all of a sudden, his target was gone. It was as though the sluice that was supposed to release the flood could not be opened in the last moment. The delay was less than a minute, and Yang Pan was on the verge of exploding. If he did not make a move soon, he would incur internal injuries. Boom! The complete release of his power was a terrifying sight. It was hard to imagine how a mech could produce an effect of this magnitude. Followed closely was a deafening sound produced by the mech's strike. In the midst of thick smoke, a silver unbounded alpha made his way out. Lear casually created a spark with the beam saber in his hand. Only a word came out of his mouth, which was, kill. Lai Xin smiled alluringly. The flaming waltz had struck an unimaginable blow on Golden Wheel King and slew him alive. She was indeed violent. Peng Wu's fortress mech took on Wolf's entire set of attacks forcefully. Wolf's attacks, which involved high control, had to go through an entire routine to take effect. At any point which they were intercepted by the opponent, Wolf would no longer be able to react effectively. The most crucial thing was that the Mayan's mantis has shamelessly started its parish song. As for Luo Fei, he had privately sent Slauberg off. Slauberg could not understand why his darkness screen had failed to work. When he exerted his strength, his opponent could not see clearly, but he could. He saw the nature of his darkness screen. It was supposed to be his innate talent, but it seems that within his darkness screen, there were demon souls. He felt defeated. The Dynasty team ended their third round with loud, fiery cheers, starting with Lear. As each person wiped his opponent effortlessly, the team had truly demonstrated their formidability. Lear, 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 far away on Earth, the students of Zeus College were overjoyed. After the Dynasty team lost in the previous match, everyone was worried that the team would lose their confidence and never pick themselves up again. But they were proved wrong. Lear Kronos, their leader, had shown the world how much the Dynasty had grown by winning hands down this time around. No one could fathom how this victory had happened. Even Yang Pan could not believe it. In the control room, he let out an exasperated grunt. How could this happen? The screen replayed the climactic moment of the match. Yang Pan indeed possessed a strong debilitating ability and was incomparable in his frontal attacks. His move was accumulation of strength and energy, and even the mech used the most extreme form of attack. This was Yang Pan's expertise. Anyone who dared to confront him head-on was definitely courting his own death. This was unexplainable. Everyone stared at the moving screen. Yang Pan's skills were indeed perfect. But Wang Zheng and Achilles exchanged glances. They knew how Lear had done it. This concept did not exist outside of the solar system, but it was no secret. The strongest was the weakest. When one fought to kill, all the energy and power culminated in that instant would push his body to a limit. As the build-up had to be released somehow, he put himself in a very dangerous position. One could not imagine what might happen if the energy was not let out in time. This was exactly what Lear did. From the beginning, Lear had never intended to confront Yang Pan directly. He acted like he was and vanished when Yang Pan was ready to attack. There was, of course, continuity in this 3-in-1 attack, which consisted of unifying life energy, vital energy, and mental spirit. Yang Pan had arrived at today's state due to his strong mental control. But the problem was that no control by the mind could be indefinite. Lear's Ares art allowed him to disappear in an instant, which was similar to how teleporting worked. It only happened for a second, and you could make a series of continuous blows at the same time. Each time one made a blow, one's speed would decrease accordingly, but for the first 3 blows, they were considered extremely high speed. When Yang Pan did not manage to grasp Lear's traces on the first blow, he was fated to lose. One could say that Yang Pan was harmed by his debilitating power. In fact, an intellectual defeat, it had been an effortless move for Lear. The only thing he had done was attack with his sword when Yang Pan was consumed by his own power. Once Yang Pan was defeated, the rest of the Dark Wolves battle team members lost their morale. They attempted to go down fighting, but technically it was no different from surrendering. The entire team just fell apart in a while. Ka Dao could not help but cheer loudly. As someone who studied war tactics, he was greatly stirred by Lear's performance. Only a truly powerful man could read the situation so well. He was almost ready to idolize Lear. Lear was humble as usual. He bowed to the entire stadium upon gaining victory. He has demonstrated humility, intelligence, strength, and strong leadership, all of which were important traits that made him undoubtedly the next rising star of Milky Way Alliance. What no one saw was the pair of power-hungry eyes hidden beneath. At this moment, he lowered his head. In the future, this world would kneel in front of him. Aina and Hakatelan were exchanging words as well. They look extremely impressed by Lear's performance. On one side, Weiyan was worried sick. Lear was Wang Zheng's foe. This was difficult. How could Aina forget everything? Her head was throbbing. After their outstanding performance in the last 2 rounds, it seems that the Saruman Snake battle team had run out of luck. This time, they were up for a match with the Asura battle team, one of the most intimidating opponents. Even the Imperial Glory battle team struggled. This meant that it would be even worse for Wang Zheng. Moreover, this was the last round. When the next round would come by was still undecided. Sigh. Why was God not helping Wang Zheng? Wang Zheng could feel Weiyan's empathetic eyes. He had no idea why she was looking at him as though he was a puppy. The next match was the Eagle battle team against the Ice Fire battle team. To both teams, it was a matter of life and death now. The last 2 defeats did not just create more pressure for the teams, but also put the reputation of the countries they represented at stake. This was especially so for Manalasuo. There was no reason for failures, but the people of Manalasuo never admit defeat to them. This entire time, they had been practicing hard behind closed doors. The Hail Fire team shared the same conviction. They have been conducting high-intensity training in secret as well, one after another. After all that they had gone through, both teams' desire for victory was unimaginably strong as much as a wolf's craving for blood. Winning was the only way they could prove themselves. As soon as both teams entered the battlefield, a commotion was generated in the crowd. What's with the Eagle battle team? Who are all those people? They have changed all their team members. Only Dendi is still there. Ka Dao read through the member's profile on the booklet that he just received and was a little surprised. This change in members is unexpected, but not totally unreasonable. After all, given the ambitions the Manalasuo people have, they need to be more realistic. Shui Yu nodded her head in agreement. Professor Latu, what do you think? The Eagle battle team changed almost all of their members in such a short time. Do you think it will affect the team's chemistry? Latu smiled and said, I believe they have been working on this issue when they took a break to train. Let's just see how it goes. The 4 new members that just joined the Eagle battle team were Harvey, Rui Ken, Mapuski and Yi Ningdan. Even though they are all amateurs, their ability should be stronger than the previous members. Let's just see. As for the Ice Fire battle team,